kind of brochure to share with you. I'm thrilled, most of all, to introduce my newest collection, which a lot of you have seen on paper, but it's a completely 100% different experience, I think, to see things in the flesh, in the cloth, so to speak. To introduce Honor Roll. It's really hard for me to say because I couldn't say my R's until I was in the 4th grade, so it always sounds like something else. People are like, what? Correct, just tell them what it is. So, but it's typed right there. Honor Roll was a collection that when I was going through my things, my mother's things after she passed away last year, my sister and I came across this little tiny suitcase up at the top of her closet that I'd never seen before, and it was filled with handkerchiefs. And handkerchiefs that I'd never, maybe I'd seen a couple of them, but so many handkerchiefs, and they actually belonged to my great-grandmother. And my sister and I spread them all over the floor. There were probably 50 or 60 different ones, some of them block printed, some of them embroidered. And we were divvying them up like our favorites, like trying to do it in a fair way, but luckily we're very different, so it was pretty easy to divide them into 2 groups that we could each keep. And we were talking about just even the idea of using a handkerchief and how sort of vintage that is. And obviously the way that they were printed was beautiful and various in the assortment that we had, but just, so the idea of just like even using handkerchiefs and just how ladylike that was and how proper it was. We were talking about mom and our grandmothers and how just like perfect they were, and they tried so hard to be good like all the time. That was sort of like actually a desirable thing, you know, in their day and age, to be good. And I don't know if that's even a desire of anyone's anymore. Speaking of as a parent, but it is generally, but I just think the idea of being perfect and good was sort of something that I latched on to just in the, the idea of these handkerchiefs. So Honor Roll was born. My mom always made the Honor Roll. My mom was a star member of the 4-H sewing team. Everything they did was very precise and perfect, and so it became sort of a play of utilizing the handkerchiefs, not maybe only 1 or 2 in a kind of literal way in terms of the actual designs, but the ideas and the names. I have so much fun with the names. Like for instance, the bow print that I have is called Penmanship, and the gingham is called, well, it's not really gingham, it's called Misguided Gingham because it's not quite gingham, and so I was sort of like using my own school inspiration and my mom's school inspiration, our experiences as kids and behavior as some inspiration for the line. And there's a little print called Handpicked with little sort of fractal designs in the background that I based sort of on these little tin foil bouquets my mom always had me make to take to my teachers. We clip flowers from the garden and then we make a little vase out of tin foil and a wet paper towel, So lots of personal experiences, as always, interjected in my mind. But I have 3 colorways that I have represented in these 3 colors. And they're all really pretty different, and the mixing of these, oh, thanks, Joyce, this one matches you. It does. Wow, so wait, we totally need to Okay, so these are the 3 colorways of the collection. There's 24 total pieces of quilting cotton, 8 prints, 3 colorways, and some of the printed materials you get might not exactly reflect these colorways. These are the real live ones here, the way they were intended. They kind of filtered out a little bit like cattywampus, but, and the brochures that you have a photograph that details how the colorways go together. I, of course, think that there's lots of mixed match opportunities and no wrong answers, but I thought that this was a really fun way to show them off. This is actually a single block of a new pattern, a new quilt pattern that I'm working on called 3-Part Harmony. And, but before I show you that, I want to show you the free pattern that I've worked on for Honor Roll, which is here. So in the effort and the idea of being good, I decided we would make lots of lots of first place ribbons. I thought was a really fun, because it's just a Dresden plate and then whatever that little dangly part is at the back, it's a Dresden plate and then a flat ribbon, right? So really simple to put together, and I have some kind of quick turn and sew, right side down, flip and sew on a certain angle to get the ribbon really, really easily. So this is going to be the free pattern. I'm a little slow getting my free patterns out. compared to the speed with which Westminster puts out the fabric. So mine are always kind of trickling in later. So what's kind of great that we've worked out is they'll always have free patterns on their side that I can help them develop. Mine tend to come out a little later. Another 07 later, I guess. So we love this. We're really excited about it. And I love the bow print as a background, so it sort of like goes on bows. So this is called a board ceremony. So that's the name of the quilt pattern. But I think a really fun show off using really traditional techniques, but in a different way, which is what I really think the collection is. They're actually, for me, pretty small and pretty vintage inspired, which isn't quite what I normally do. But I think that the quilt kind of embodies the idea of kind of some quirk and tradition all together. And while we're talking quilts, I'll go ahead and show you too the quilt version of, well, maybe I should have the fabric first. Sorry, my question, just have a seat for that here. Okay, so does anyone have any questions about honor roll or inspirations? We've got a lot of it laid up in the bags over here. We did a really fun thing with the multitasker bag, actually. We quilted it. It's probably kind of hard to see, but we just did some straight line crisscross quilting on it with batting, and it's a fun way to take like a simple, basic, popular pattern and make it a little bit new. So yeah, we just treated the fabric. We just quilted, you know, the outer panel fabric and then cut the pieces out from that to treat it as like a normal fabric. But I thought that was a fun application. And then, and you can see too, like totally different colorways, but really fun in this application to make a really graphic, fun pop. And while this is another one of those prints that I really enjoy doing, where it's a small print and also a big print, you know, so that it has like some interesting applications and really fun fussy cutting applications. Basically a stripe, but also a floral and also a tonal, so it's fun to see it that way. And again, like lots of mixing of colorway, but a really pretty application of forms of prints. And this is my Escape Artist tote, which the cover of that pattern, you'll see it with all the pattern covers on the inside of your brochure. On the cover, it's like a sheared pattern. And it has a different style, but we basically I've made this pattern so many times just by using the simple lining piece and the backing piece and just making a quilted patchwork, or just making a patchwork fabric and then cutting the pattern, the simple pattern shape out from that. I think that's a really fun way to do this bag. And True Colors is still a fantastic program, and we interjected lots of things. This is the art student tote in the larger size, shown there too. And since we're still talking about honor roll, I'll go ahead and show you some of those garments, and also a new pattern. This is one of my newer patterns. I wasn't at Spring Market, so I didn't get to introduce come up here, skirty. Okay. So my new pattern is, one of my new patterns is called the Full Circle Skirt, and Pierrette and these two hangers are wearing the 3 variations. As you can see, what she has on is just a really simple, straightforward circle skirt. It's a 2-piece, a front piece and a back piece. And she's wearing it like, for a 44-inch wide fabric, we just cut it down the side. And even though the print is meant to be more of a vertical, it looks beautiful because that vertical ends up taking a turn because of the way a half circle is cut, right? So, and then the other variation is just a simple 8-panel. Snuck in some of my daughter's fabrics in there. Don't tell Joyce. It's family, that's right. It's family. It's like mafia. It's family. And then there's this really fun version, which I can't remember what I call it, Sunrays, but maybe that's Sunrays. Crazy Dates, of course I do, yeah. That was good thinking. So this is basically like super simple. You can see like that's one panel right there. So you just, it's a 3-piece panel, and then you do that 8 times. And lots of really fun variations of doing that. So this is called Cutting Line, these little tiny birds is one of the fun prints. Yeah, and you can see like how beautiful it looks just as a solid as well. Lots of fun mix and match opportunities in that pattern. And then what else do I have in honor roll fabrics? Yes, okay. So again, here's the single file print. And we've updated the Socialite pattern to have sleeves, which I think is pretty fun. People have asked me, and this is another version, this is called Chatterbox, which is kind of more like my school experience. My 2nd grade teacher called me Mouth, actually. Never guess why. I think it's because I had a pretty smile. So we updated the Socialite pattern to include sleeves. And also wider neckband. This is thinner, which also means it's going to drop a little lower, so it can be used a little bit dressier. It's always had a pocket option, and this still does. A couple people have asked, well, I've already got the Socialite pattern, can I just buy the sleeve pattern from you? I wish I could say yes. One, that makes it really hard for the retailer, right? Like, how are we going to parse out these sleeves? It's lame. We're like staying up cutting patterns all night selling them to people. But because of adding the sleeve and just the way that a woven garment is made and the reach that is necessary in the shoulder had to get redrafted. So it is an all-new pattern. I'm happy to help you through customer service issues. Like a couple people are like, well, I bought a Socialite pattern from you. And I'm like, well, I can, and what do I do with it now? And I'm like, well, it just depends on if you want to sleeve or not. Like, I don't know. You know, that's what I said quietly, not on the phone, right? I'm like, well, I don't know. Do you want to make it with sleeves or not? So, but I'm happy to help through. Like, I told this one individual that if she bought it from me, I was happy to offer a discount on the pattern. If you want me to help you pass along a discount to customers who say, I know, right? And that is like a giant sigh. But if you want me as the distributor of patterns or the manufacturer of the patterns to help pass along a discount of people who have the Socialite, and if they have to purchase it again, want a deal on it, I'm happy to give you a discount on the patterns as well. Okay, so just pass along. I'll give that email if you're at. Oh, we good. And then this, I'll go ahead and start talking about, I suppose, the other reintroduction that I have called Folk Song. And just like with Garden Party and Drawing Room, I sort of merged what I felt like was the best of those two collections and reintroduced it as hand-drawn garden. It was a long day yesterday. I did the same thing, which might be the class. I did the same thing with a couple collections that people have begged for to see again, and that's Good Folks and Little Folks. So what I've done is I've combined some of what I felt like were the best prints and the best sellers. We looked at numbers, so and those collections into a 14-piece, kind of what I consider like a really sort of essential Anna Maria, because these are, I hear more frequently than with any other collection with Good Folks. I hear people say like, you got me sewing, that collection of fabric got me sewing, it got me quilting. So we're thrilled to see it back. And what's cool about the Little Folks prints that are included is those, as you might remember, those were only ever presented in voile. And so for the first time, these are on quilting cotton, which I think is going to make some people happy. So I don't remember the breakdown of exactly how many are Good Folks and how many are Little Folks, but they're all folks, so it doesn't really matter. And also what I did, you might remember the square dance panel print that I did on the wall. I played around with that just because, we did it on a panel and I don't really want to redo that. I reworked that print into more of an all-over print, with a really beautiful, deep, rich background. A great way to show that off is actually in this quilt. So one of the quilt patterns that I'm working on for sale is called 3-Part Harmony, and kind of goes along with, again, this is basically just 9 blocks of the pillow that I showed you, and it plays up the differences between deep, light, and medium, which is why, in terms of the tone of your fabrics, which is why I call it 3-Part Harmony. Obviously, that equation can be filled with any variable. It can be filled with warm, cool, neutral. It can be filled with, solid, neutral. Like the idea is it just perpetuates a graphic design using 3 variables, basically. And this pattern, it should be out probably in the next 6 weeks or so. How many of you, by the way, have online shops as well? And how many of those people who have online shops also do, resell PDFs? How many are interested in reselling PDF patterns or only paper patterns? Because we've yet to do that. I had the color dye quilt pattern, which I had out a year ago, which has been so hugely popular. And we sold it so much because I honestly, it just became to where printing costs and releases and putting it all together, I was like, let me just try a PDF and see what happens. But I don't like cutting out retailers, at all, and so I would like to find a way, a meaningful way. And I know that other pattern designers have worked out programs with retailers to resell their PDFs on a type of an honor system, and I'm thrilled to work on that and pass it along, because we sold that color dye pattern so many times that I think that you could do. So, and with it makes sense in things that are as simple as half-square triangles for it to be a PDF and not a printed pattern. It makes sense as a small business that I am and a small business that you are, even stocking it, because you don't have to pay for inventory, right? You're only going to pay when it sells. So be looking for some kind of information for us how we're going to start making that work. And I'm always happy to hear input of how you're already doing it with other people in a way that works out for you, and just your feedback on how that works. So we have a couple other samples that are folk song, I believe. We have it shown up in the painted portrait dress. This is just the sleeveless version, and it's we just took advantage of fussy cutting that pretty small gathering print into the yoke in the front and also the back, which I think is really, really cute. We just reshot the covers for the painted portrait dress and the Socialite since it got a new sleeve, so we made new goodies. And then this is a mix of folk song and honor roll as well. This is my welcome pose dress, and again, this pattern came out in the spring, but I wasn't here or wherever it was at market to be able to introduce it. I love this pattern so much, and the sleeve is a one-piece, front and back. This is all, the yoke and sleeve, front and back is all one whole entire piece, and it has a cute raglan cut in the back. This dress also has some nice variations of, you can do it long sleeve, short sleeve, dress, pocketed, tunic, with a waistline casing for elastic as well, or without. And even the blouse can have a waistline casing, so it kind of creates a peplum silhouette, which is really nice, and that's the pattern. And we have more examples in the booth for you to see too. I would like to also show you this other quilt. Some of you may know, I do some work with Janome, and I develop one free pattern for them every quarter. But use those free patterns, my goodness, like whether or not you sell machines or are involved with Janome, the patterns are there for the taking for anyone, particularly for retailers to help sell the fabrics or whatever you want to do with them. I developed a quilt pattern for them, which is just about to be launched as a video called Fan Dance. And this is a combination of both the folk song fabrics and then also the honor roll fabrics, all mixed together. And this sort of has like a two-part thing where it's light and dark, cool and warm a little bit. And it's basically a half of a Dresden, and I just split the color side so it sort of has this undulating pattern. That's a baby version. You can kind of see the logic of the quilt a little better in this large one. But this one's made out of dowry, so, but I wanted to bring it along. But it also has the panels in the back really exemplify how beautifully True Colors works as tonals, and just all those, the coral and the blue are True Colors prints, and those tonals and the depth of them just really makes other things sing. So there's that. I think that covers all the quilts, and unless anybody has any other questions, I'm going to talk just a little bit more about knits. Some of you, how many of you sat in on mine and Amy's knit class? Just a few of you. So I'm sorry that I'm repeating for a few of you that were here, but the knit collection is something that we've been having a ton of fun with. It's a 15-piece collection, and as I told the group that was already here, not designed or presented just because we want to change what you do every day in your shop, but we want to bring new reasons for people to walk in. We want to bring new customers in that are more interested in garment sewing than they are in anything. And it's a very compatible type of knit with all the wovens because it's 100% cotton. It's an interlock knit, which has a different structure than jersey, which essentially means it's much easier to work with. It lays flat, it cuts flat, it doesn't roll, it doesn't curl, it doesn't overstretch. It has enough give to be able to make a nice variety of garments. I'm wearing the lemon drop dress, which is here. It's also one of my new patterns that's designed for the knits. We had so much fun and so much success with sewing with knits on home sewing machines and some workshops that I did with this summer. We did a lovely promotion on Instagram called the I Love Lemon Drops Trade Away, where we sent out 22 patterns and specific fabrics to people, and they traded back to us a picture of their finished garment, and it was a huge success, and we got a lot of people sewing with it. And the pattern has babies and girls and women's sizes. So this is the toddler version. It has a little kangaroo pocket and lap shoulders, and then the girl version is in the middle there, and it has side pockets. And then the women's is basically, they're all the same structure. They can go from tunic to dress just by adding a flounce and options of pockets. This is a version that I did with my friend Natalie Shannon's organic jersey knits. That's all kind of hand-pieced and hand applique. So, and also, again, the compatibility factor, and part of the reason why I chose 100% knit fabric, not just because it's easy to work with, but it's easier to mix with other woven fabrics. This skirt is actually like half of a Dresden plate of woven that was just appliqued onto the knit. I didn't use any interfacing, I didn't change settings, I didn't do anything crazy. I used the exact same settings and applique stitch on my machine as I would have, and as I did with the quilts. So, and no bubbling or weirdness, so you can see that it's like super compatible with things you have already. Like, I mean, putting a woven Dresden right on top of a knit pillowcase, you know, I mean, that makes it soft and comfortable. It washes just like your wovens in terms of, you know, the temperature and everything, but it does shrink more, so if you're going to combine fabrics, I would highly recommend to you or any of your customers to pre-wash the fabrics before combining them, because the knits shrink more than the wovens do, for sure. And on my blog, I always post, this is another sort of more free motion style application of woven bits on top of the knit. I always, when I introduce a new fabric, kind of do a rundown of like how to wash it, how to dry it, how to knit it, how to press it, what needles to use, applications on my blog, so we can send you a link if you ask us for it, but print it out, put it next to the knits in your fabric. We're selling it on just 8-yard bolts, so it's not a crazy buy-in. And I think because of the actual structure of the cloth being 100% cotton, being easy to sew with, it's a really beautiful tie-in to kind of sneak it into some patterns that are intended for woven. So, yes?
I wanted to tell you we've been using it in our beginning garment.
Is this positive feedback? Okay, speak louder.
It is, I have never done with knits, and I made a t-shirt out of that print right there, and we have beginning garment students that haven't sewn with knit ever, and they're making dresses out of it.
Yay!
It's just great to work with.
I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you for saying that. And that's exactly what we found too. I mean, Cindy was in the class that we did this summer as well, and the pattern that I have on, like, I'm really proud of how many shapes, sizes, colors, ages that this suits. We had 25 women, and a lot of them made it. Cindy made it with a group of women, and like with her friends.
All different heights and body shapes, but we could all wear this size large because they were all my age, my friends. And it looked good on all of us.
Yeah.
One lady was more pear-shaped, one's very tall and a little heavier.
Right.
It looked good on all of us.
Right, and the other thing that, because I wanted it to do a lot of ages, even the sleeveless version still has this cap. So even if you left the sleeve off, you still have a covered shoulder, which a lot of people are more comfortable with. But, oh my gosh, we had fun making this dress. And this dress, this pattern and this fabric, we did a class, just a one-day knit class. 6 out of 8 of us had never turned on a sewing machine in their lives, and they all left with a shirt that fit and did great. So it's super simple. And a really great fabric to approach for the first time total or the first time knit. I think it's just, and like I said in the class before, that I'm not opposed to doing a jersey fabric eventually. I felt like an interlock was more of a good integration for a shop and a customer that already uses woven. So baby steps, right? So, and as far as the prints go, in the I Love Lemon Drops trade away that we did, we sent everybody a different mix and match, and you can see based on like what I'm wearing, how we put it together with prints, how we put it together with itself, the scale and the colors. Like, it's almost like there's no wrong answer, and it was so fun to get the photographs back. If you follow on Instagram, just look up the I Love Lemon Drops hashtag, and you'll see all the people who finished their sewing because they tagged it. And all different ages, size, shapes of people, little people, big people, young people, old people, older people. It looks great on and is comfortable to wear. So.
And what is the name of that pattern?
This pattern is called Lemon Drop.
The Lemon Drop dress.
Yep, and it's in your brochure. You have one. This is what the cover looks like. It's me and my girls. Well, 2 of them anyway. So, are there any questions? Did I leave something out? Quite possibly. Yes. Thank you. Am I running out of time, or am I good?
5 minutes long.
Keep going. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, thanks for
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Oh my God. It's good that these are small. Okay. So, continuing to build my Needleworks program, I designed this lovely little collection of cross-stitch patterns that are $6 retail. So a really great by the register sort of add-on. and you can see the actual cross stitches. Come by the booth and see them. We had lots of fun in Needlework's program that we did this summer as well, a weekend workshop of taking the cross stitch patterns, because the pattern itself is just a colored grid or a mapped grid. Oh, I was trying this one, I'm sorry. I always apologize to her, like birds up. Sorry for a second. We'll print more. So this is basically what the pattern looks like on the inside. So there's a color chart that you follow to perform your cross stitch, or there's a symbol coded chart. Some people prefer that. You know what else is really cool about this is like a block chart. Like how cool would that be just to make a whole huge quilt using that block chart, right? A color in form. Like it's just a gridded chart. You can do so many things with it. You can do any kind of grid needlework, or you can do a patchwork project because they're small and scale. Like finished stitching on a medium-sized Aida cloth or even weave is, you know, it's only a few inches. A lot of folks use waste canvas this summer as well in our classes to apply the waste canvas to like a t-shirt, cross stitch it and yank the waste cloth out. I actually teach a creative ed class on how to do that. But we've thoroughly enjoyed presenting these, and I just think that for a shop that even if all you have is fabric, I think that this is such a nice little small add-on, not just for you as a retailer, your investment is very little. To present these to your customer, but also it's perfect for young stitchers. It's perfect for people or any age stitcher that have never tried them before, and they'd be beautiful, like all put together on one piece of fabric as a sampler too, or made in a repeat along the front of a dress if you have like a whole lot of time. But as always, I enjoy the process as much, if not more, than the result. So this is for that customer, and we'll be happy to sell them to you. In any company, yeah.
Will you be kitting the threads for the floss?
So I don't kit them wholesale. I highly recommend it. It has floss recommendations on the back, and you know that there's conversion charts for any floss. Like if you carry floss in your shop, or Anchor's floss collection is beautiful and vast, and you can very easily, I would recommend if you're going to approach this, just call Anchor, which is codes, super simple. See how I did that? And order the colors that are on here and kit them yourself, even if all you're doing is giving them the floss. The way that these packages are designed, I see lots of cross stitch patterns when we were trying to decide how to do. I invest a little in making a nice package. And I made the package this way, not just a single sheet in a Ziploc bag or whatever, so that you could do a pretty packaging of materials. This will fit a fold of cloth, either even weave or Aida, and your 6 skeins of floss. And it's only 6 colors, so it's a very approachable design. So yeah, you can pack that in here and make kits yourself.